If you don't like me, that's completely fine. I don't want you to like me. Hi, it's Paulina, and welcome back to the My Best Self podcast. If you're joining me on YouTube today, obviously the setup is different right now. I wanted to see what you all thought about this type of setup. It's a lot different. It feels a little bit like I'm literally talking to your face, which I kind of like, but I'm not sure because it's not the usual podcast setup. So let me know how you guys like this. Let me know if you prefer the usual setup, or let me know if you're like, oh, I'm kind of liking this angle a little bit better. So that's what we're doing today. We're switching it up a little bit, but don't worry, we can always go back to the usual angle, which I kind of love, but I did want to just try this out and see because I do really love this lens. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about how to stop caring about what other people think about you and why other people's perceptions of you shouldn't be any of your business, why you should stop caring, why it doesn't matter, why it's not that big of a deal. We're really gonna get into it, and I feel like I'm the perfect person to talk about this just because I've been on social media for, I wanna say, 8 years now. And so I've kind of seen it all, and I've heard it all, and I've had people's opinions shoved down my throat. I've seen so much. And when you go through that, it forces you to really get to know yourself and to understand why you shouldn't care and why it doesn't matter. Because if you live your life trying to please other people forever, girl, you're gonna live a miserable life. Like, I promise you, as somebody who has been there, who has felt the need to explain themselves extensively, who has had people try to break their character down, and who has had a lot of opinions and a lot of eyes on them, I've been able to understand that what somebody else thinks about me is not my business and it does not define me. And I want to share that with you because it is so empowering to understand that you define who you are, you define your worth, and nobody else can tell you otherwise. And someone's opinion on you, someone not liking you, that is none of your business. And I'm gonna give you specific reasons why it's pointless to care about people's opinions on you. So let's get into it. Get used to understanding that you will not be liked by every single person in this world. Get used to it. Get used to it. Not everybody is gonna like you, and that's 100% okay. To assume that everybody is meant to like you is to do a disservice to yourself, because now you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable position where it's like, think about it. Do you like everybody? No. There are people that may trigger you in certain ways. There are people that you may find annoying, and that's okay. That's your opinion, and that doesn't define that person. So you have to see it in the inverse way as well. What somebody has to say about you doesn't define you. Just because somebody doesn't like you, it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean you're not worthy. It just means we all have different opinions. We have different perspectives. We all see the world through a different lens, and that is gonna clash with another person sometimes. And to be honest, it's very liberating to let go of wanting to be liked by everybody. Just like you don't like everybody, you're not gonna be liked by everybody. There's always gonna be someone who doesn't like you. Me, I love chocolate ice cream. But you know what? There's people out there who hate chocolate ice cream. Does that mean chocolate ice cream isn't good? No, it just means it's not for them. And that's completely fine. They might prefer something else. That's completely fine. It's the same with you. Not everybody's gonna like you, and you don't want everybody to like you. Think about the world in itself. Think about the world as a whole. Think about all the different types of people, different types of personalities, good and bad traits that people carry. There are certain people that are not going to like you because they can't relate to you or because they don't see themselves in you. And I found that when you're positive and you're kind and you shine in this world, that's going to trigger people who maybe are the opposite. There's serial killers in this world. Do you want them to like you? I don't want to be liked by certain people. Certain people, I hope they don't like me. I hope that they don't relate to me, because there are people in this world who are evil, who are cruel. So it's like, if you don't like me, that's completely fine. I don't want you to like me. And that's not to say that everybody who doesn't like me is evil, but it's just to give you a different point of view and to allow you to feel safe and comfortable in knowing that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's completely fine. It doesn't make you any less worthy. So if someone has something to say about you, that should slide right off of you. It should bounce right off of you. We're like mirrors. So if somebody sees something within you, they see that within themselves as well. So it's like, I'm not going to take things personally, whether you like me or whether you don't. And that means in every sense of the way, even when people do like me, I'm not going to allow them to define me, and I'm not going to allow anybody's like or dislike for me define me, regardless of, even if you have positive feelings towards me. That's amazing. I'm happy about it. But at the end of the day, if you switch up tomorrow and you say, actually, I don't like this, this, and that, what am I going to do? I'm going to let that slide right off of me. Because people switch up like this. People be switching up more than they switch their underwear. And I understand that, because me personally, I'm an indecisive person in different types of areas of my life. Not in that sense where I'm like, I like this person, and no, actually I don't like them because they did one thing that I don't agree with. I'm more open-minded, but you do have to remember, people switch up instantly. And that's something that I've been able to learn, obviously, through being on social media for such a long time. You can't let somebody's view of you determine how you feel about yourself, whether their view is positive or negative. Even if they have a positive view on you, that's great. That's amazing. But you should already have that foundation within yourself of self-love and self-worth, to the point where it's like, when somebody sees you in that light, it's good. It's a good thing, but it's not something that defines who you are. It's not something to where, if this person takes away their approval of you, if they take away the fact that they like you and they think you're a cool person, if they take that away, that should not mess with your self-esteem. And I've learned this obviously through having been on social media for so long. You know, I've had people switch up. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. I've seen the switch ups. I've seen switch ups towards me. I've seen switch ups towards other people. And it's something where you really have to understand. People may switch up on you because they don't like one thing that you did. They may see you in a different light because of one certain experience, rather than seeing you as a whole. And that's why, in general, not even if you're not on social media, whatever it is, just in life, you shouldn't be reliant on somebody else's validation of you. What somebody thinks of you is none of your business. If they think highly of you, that's good. But don't let that be something that defines your worth. If they think negatively of you, that's fine too. Because you know what? It also doesn't define your worth. You are you, and to know who you are is your biggest superpower, because people can tell you anything. People, I think we often can project. I think as human beings, that's something that innately we do unless we work through it. We project. So people will project onto you their insecurities. People will project onto you certain things that they don't like. There's a million and one ways in which somebody can see you and make an opinion on you, and even change their opinion of you based off of even the smallest thing that you may do. And I've learned that through my time on social media. So it's like, honestly, who cares? That's what I live by. Like, who cares? If you don't like me, that's completely fine. I love me. I love myself. If you don't like me, what am I gonna do? You have to get to that point where you genuinely, you just can't care about it. It's like, okay, what do you want me to do about it? You don't resonate with me, that's okay. There's 8 billion other people in this world. I'm sure somebody else will. Whatever you think about me, that's completely fine. And it's none of my business, because it doesn't define who I am, because I know who I am. And another thing you have to remember, a lot of people in this world don't like themselves. And there are some people that may not like themselves, but they're working towards being better. They're working towards building a relationship with themselves, towards being more open-minded, towards having that deep connection with themselves. And that's amazing. But there's also people who just simply don't like themselves. They may be in denial about it. They may never have done that level of self-reflection. They may never have understood themselves in that way. And so you have to remember, if people don't even like themselves, why are you going to be upset if they don't like you? Who cares? Who cares what they think about you? Excuse me. Like, genuinely, I think that it's so pointless to seek for approval, because you end up seeking for approval from people who you don't even want to be like, from people whose opinions you really shouldn't even be considering, because they clearly have a lot of growth to do for themselves. And if you care about what people think in any sense of that word, there's another thing that I want you to consider. And this is in every sense. If you care what people think about the way you look, if you care what people think about the way you act, if you care about what people think about you branching out and trying something new, if you care what people think about your life choices, whatever it is, you also have to remember that people will take you to their level. Somebody cannot bring you down unless they are below you. Why? Because how can you bring somebody somewhere where you're not at, right? How can I bring somebody to a really low point if I'm not at that low point myself? For me to bring somebody down, I must be at a lower point. Think about it. In order for somebody to bring you down, don't they have to be at that place in order to bring you with them? So don't allow somebody to try to bring you down to a level that you're not at. If somebody feels the need, I've always said this, if someone feels the need to try to bring you down, if someone feels the need to share a negative view on you and to put you down, just remember where that stems from. That stems from an insecurity within themselves. That stems from a place of projection. That stems from them wanting you. They want you to feel that same way. The same way that they feel about themselves, the way that they don't like themselves, the way that they're hurting inside because they genuinely hate who they are and they have all this built up anger and hurt. That's the same thing that they want you to feel when somebody tries to bring you down. So remember that the next time you catch yourself caring about somebody making fun of you, somebody being rude to you, somebody not liking you, remember where that often stems from. And when you realize that, everybody's opinions of you literally slip off of you. It's like you have a protective oil on your skin that allows opinions, words, whatever it is, to just slip right off. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna sit here and cry and feel like shit about myself because of someone who takes the time to tell me, oh, I feel this way about you. You're this, you're that. No. Why? Because who does that? A secure person, a person who's happy with themselves, who's happy with their life, they don't have the time of day. They don't have the time of day to go around and try to put people down and try to bring them down. They can't bring people down because they're already up here. Because if you're bringing people down, then you're simply not up. Like you literally just can't be up. And what I mean by being up is literally simply being happy with who you are and having confidence and having a high self-esteem and high self-worth. Because if you have all of that, you just cannot bring somebody down. Because the people who have those qualities, they are people who want to uplift other people. So if someone's treating you a certain type of way, just remember that. Just remember that. And let people's opinions slide right off of you because opinions are never going to pay you. And let's tie this in because I have people who ask me a lot about how do you not care what people think when you start posting videos, or how do you not care what people think when you start your business, when you do this, when you do that. It's simple. You just have to see things in a way where you are doing something for you and no one can take that away from you. Even if you were to fail, the only way that you can fail is if you quit, by the way. But even if you fail and you quit, guess what? You learned something. I like that saying that's like, I don't fail, I fall forwards. And that's very true because every failure that you have in your life was an experience that paid you in that. It paid you in experience and in knowledge. And this is something that now you get to take away and you get to go through life and carry that with you. And that knowledge, you don't know when you're going to need it. You don't know when you're going to need it. You don't know what it's going to be useful for. So experience is always great, whether it's a quote unquote failure or not, whatever it is that you're doing, when you're putting yourself out there, when you're trying something new, you're doing something for yourself. And you know, the only people that will attack you for that are the people who are scared to go after their own dreams. Remember that. A person who has already went after their dreams, they're not going to look at you trying to go after your dreams and call you crazy. Why? Because they were once there too. You also have to remember, who is this opinion coming from at the end of the day? A person who has actually been in your shoes will never make fun of you because they understand what it is. And they also understand the level of vulnerability that that requires. So the only people that are going to come for you, that are going to try to put you down in that sense, are people who are afraid of their own dreams. You may trigger people when you're going after your dreams. You may trigger people when you're spreading your light. You may trigger people who simply can't face their own problems or who are trying to shove certain things down and you're bringing them to light and they may not like that. You genuinely have to let things slide. You have to let people's words slide off of you and I really believe it all comes down to having that foundation, having that healthy foundation of knowing who you are, of believing in yourself. And that all comes down to your relationship with yourself. And we do have an episode all about building a healthy relationship with yourself on this podcast. So I really recommend you all listen to that if you haven't yet. I think that's another really helpful episode. The only person you should be seeking validation from is yourself and God or the universe or whatever higher power that you believe in. That's all that really matters because you can't make everybody happy. And as soon as you let go of that expectation, it's like you can breathe again. You're free. You're free of other people's judgments. And remember, who is anyone to judge anyone? None of us are perfect. And when you judge somebody, oftentimes you're only judging based off of one angle that you're viewing them at. You're not seeing things as a whole. You're not seeing that person truly. You're only seeing a certain thing that you want to see. So also remember that. That's why I try to just mind my own business. Like I said, I'm not perfect either though, and we all have those moments, but you have to remember who honestly cares and who are you to judge anybody. From time to time, I have to humble myself too and say, wait, like what about this person is making you have this negative thought, right? But that's the difference. I don't say those thoughts out loud. But yeah, that is going to be all for this week's episode. I really hope that you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening. If you're on Spotify, please make sure to rate the podcast. If you're on Apple Music too. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. I love you so much. I appreciate you all so much. And I'll see you guys in next week's episode, Monday at 10 a.m. PST. Bye.